Hello, true believers. Nate Marchand here. Due to the extraordinary amount of projects that I've been working on, I wasn't able to find the time to film a review of Star Trek Into Darkness, which is unfortunate because, as you've probably figured out by now, I am a huge Trekkie, and Star Trek is my favorite science fiction franchise. But if you would like to know what I think of the movie, you can read my review on my Examiner page, which there will be a link to in this video's description. But since I wanted to make sure that you did get a video this week, I have invited an old friend of mine to be a guest host for me, and he will review the movie for you. He'll be showing up in a minute here after the theme song. So, until next time, live long and prosper. Hello and welcome to But I Digress. I am your host, Captain James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise. I am subbing for Nathan Marchand this week while the Enterprise is in orbit in dry dock being repaired after our recent battle with the Klingons. I will be reviewing the new film Star Trek Into Darkness, because, as we all know, I am the perfect host to do this because Star Trek is all about me. In this film, a young Captain Kirk and the crew of the USS Enterprise battle a Starfleet officer turned terrorist who is waging a one-man war against Starfleet itself. There has been much hype and mystery surrounding this film for many months. Most of it having to do with the film's plot and its enigmatic villain, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, who has been rumored often to be a character from the original series, a villain defeated by yours truly. So, does it live up to all this hype? Yes. In fact, it is a superior film to the previous entry in this new reboot franchise, because it did not have the writer's strike hindering its script, or have to shock fans by not being a prequel or a reboot, but instead a strange hybrid of the two. There has been much misinformation circulating about this film, most of it having to do with the villain played by Cumberbatch. Fans have been speculating about which original series character he could be playing. I will tell you that if you are smart and you know your Star Trek, you can figure out who he is by watching the trailers or paying attention to the hints dropped throughout the first half of this film. But that would require that you are as smart as I am. There was also misinformation given out about an actor who said he would not appear in this film, but in fact he does appear in this film. I would tell you who he is, but I do not want to give out any spoilers, at least not quite yet. Trekkies will be happy to know that more elements of classic Star Trek mythos find their way into this film, most notably the inclusion of those troublesome tribbles and Klingons. There is also mention of Nurse Christine Chapel, but, she probably would be disappointed to know that Spock is with Uhura in this universe. But then again, I never understood what she saw in him when she could have had me. There is also, like the previous movie, a larger scope than is usually seen in Star Trek television or films, which allows audiences to see even more of the Trek universe. And for those who are into such things, there is plenty of exciting action and incredible special effects, which would only have been enhanced had I been in the film. Speaking of which, the actors in this movie, the ones who returned from the previous film, give a better understanding of their characters and give performances closer to the original cast members from the original Star Trek series. But they are overshadowed by Cumberbatch as the villain, and he does it without chewing up the scenery, which means it is too bad that I was not in the movie, because with my hammy acting, Cumberbatch would have had plenty to chew up. And now for the moment you've all been waiting for. Scotty, stand down, spoiler alert. That's why we call you a miracle worker. Well done, Mr. Scott. If you don't want to have any spoilers, I suggest you skip ahead a few minutes in this video, because I am about to give the biggest revelation to come out of this film, and that is that Benedict Cumberbatch is none other than Yes, he is none other than the villain of the classic episode Space Seed, and what is considered to be the best of the Star Trek films, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. The role made famous by the indomitable, the late, great Ricardo Montalban. But Cumberbatch does not give in to the pressure at all, much like me, and plays the role with gusto. He sinks his teeth into the part and gives a powerhouse performance that some may even call Oscar-worthy. This is just one of many elements that arguably make Into Darkness a remake of The Wrath of Khan, which, by the way, is also my favorite Star Trek film. There is also classic lines such as Spock's, "The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few," and the inclusion of characters such as Carol Marcus, my old flame from my academy days. Well, one of many old flames that I had from my academy days. There are also shot-for-shot recreations of some of the previous film's most famous scenes, such as the death that occurs during the climactic battle. Except in this film, there is a great reversal. It is not Spock who dies, it is Kirk. But Chris Pine forgot one very important thing. I've always known I'll die alone. But Captain Kirk, this version of Captain Kirk, quickly learned he was not alone. I think Nathan Marchand would agree with me that the final score for Star Trek Into Darkness is an A. While it is a sequel to what is more or less the Star Trek film for the non-Trekkie, this one not only maintains the elements that appeal to the average movie-goer, but it pumps in even more elements of the classic Star Trek universe to give hardcore Star Trek fans even more to love. Almost as much as they love me. Thank you for joining me this week on But I Digress. It has been a pleasure being your guest host. But now I must return to space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before. Whoosh! Ha ha! Beam me up, Scotty.
It would be interesting, Captain, to return to that world in 100 years and learn what crop had sprung from that seed that you planted today. With continuity and sing, 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 continuity and sing. The takeover, it's not over.
You just had to go into sleep mode, didn't you? But I'm filming the dang climax.